Okay, relevant boxing talk here, and this is why I got Errol Spence um, defeating Terrence Crawford within 6 rounds. So it's been a storied um, um, journey to making this fight actually happen, and I don't know all the details, so I won't even pretend that I do. Um, but the to make a long story short, nonetheless, is that Errol Spence is uh, more hungry than Terrence Crawford. See, I believe that Terrence Crawford is treating this like another fight. He's not heralding it to the magnitude that it is. He's not treating it as special as it ought to be. Whereas Errol Spence, on the other hand, is. You see, Errol Spence had to sacrifice a lot to make this fight happen. Um, Terrence Crawford was, if you were watching in real time, um, how many times he was willing to step away from this fight and making it a reality. He doesn't give a damn about this fight. To be real with you, I think if you ask me, he's disappointed that the fight is actually really happening, um, because he um, time and time again said that the fight is not happening, um, as the excitement for it was building. Um, when media people asked if he's excited, I mean, is he looking forward to the fight? Many times. You know what? He said, you know what? I'm done with this fight. I'm a Hall of Famer. Without him, I don't need Errol Spence. Yada yada. I mean, a lot of um, willing to walk away from this fight as if, he's at a car dealership, haggling with a car salesman. Um, whereas, on the other hand, Errol Spence, who really wanted this fight because, not because he wants to fight Terrence Crawford particularly, but because he has the last piece of his undisputed puzzle, um, and he has stood by his word in that he wants to be undisputed. Um, when Terrence Crawford moved up to the welterweight division, he moved up from the junior welterweight division, for which he was undisputed at. He had all four belts, and at the time, I think Errol Spence only had the IBF belt, but he went. But Terrence Crawford elected to go the WBO route, and he faced Jeff Horn, and he defeated Jeff Horn, and he went on to defend that WBO strap for many fights. Who was that? Amir Khan. He fought Cal Brook after Errol Spence fought him and defeated him for that IBF belt, and he went on to fight Sean Porter after Errol Spence defeated him for the WBC belt. And then he fought a guy named Avanesian, some guy named Avanesian. Stay busy fight. Let's just call it that for lack of better description. Terrence Crawford seems to be the type that he's a prize fighter. He simply wants to make money boxing. You know, at the highest level, he so happens to be really good, very talented at what he does, and so he just wants to make good money and be the man of his house. I mean, and that's applaudable. I mean, how could you not commend him for that? Where Errol Spence, on the other hand, he really has a hunger for greatness. He really, unlike Terrence Crawford, is not doesn't have an air of resting on his laurels. He really is driven to be great, and he's daring to be great. So much so that Errol Spence said that he will get the three belts that were on the PBC side of the street, which is a popular little phrase, and then he was going to get the WBO belt that was the lone belt that was over in the top rank promotional outfit. Now, he wasn't looking to. He didn't care who had the WBO strap. He just wanted it, and Terrence Crawford just so happened to have it. You know, um, hey, Terrence Crawford didn't particularly have um, to obtain a belt coming up from junior welterweight. He could have just moved up and fought whomever for money. You know, it seems like that's what he wants to do anyway. I mean, he's an amazing talent. You know, I think as a simple prize fighter, he could have made some pretty good money fighting whomever. You know, the Amir Khan fight would have been there for him regardless, whether he's a WBO champion or not, because he's that good. You know, I'm sure he could have got other fights like Adrian Broner. You know, who else? Some other popular guys that were still kind of lingering around. I'm sure he could have got those fights, but he decided to be a belt holder, which means that Errol Spence has sights on whomever the belt holder is. Um, so in light of that, Errol Spence pursued this matchup with Terrence Crawford. Um, we do know it's been made public that this is a 50-50 split fight. Now, why is it a 50-50 fight? Well, it's because Errol Spence gave up a lot of his A side leverage in order to make this fight happen to the prize fighter and Terrence Bud Crawford. I really don't think Terrence Crawford wants to fight Errol Spence. I simply do not think so, because he's really he's given Errol Spence a very hard time outside of the ring, in a hard and long time outside of the ring. Um, this is a fight that should have happened in 2020. Here we are 3 years later, and it's finally been made. Yeah, sure, you can make excuses about COVID and whatnot, but uh, Errol Spence wanted to fight Terrence Crawford then. Um, um, and he's been wanting to fight him since, especially since He grabbed the WBA belt from Udenis Ugas, and when he got that third strap, I mean, he really started gunning for Terrence Crawford, and that's when Terrence Crawford really, you know, he put his ass on his back. He really was doing everything to, in my opinion, avoid the fight. He knew Errol Spence was the A side, and for good reason. I mean, Errol Spence kicks ass. You know, he gets him out of there ferociously, um, and he puts asses in seats. You know, selling out the Cowboy Stadium was at like an 80,000 seat stadium. I mean, he's the clear A side, um, and like potentially a 70-30 split, and Bob Arum did not help Terrence Crawford's situation at all. Talking about something he lost money on Terrence Crawford fights, and he famously said, "I could have built a house in Malibu with the money that I lost promoting Terrence Crawford." I mean, really hurting his business leverage. But yet and still, Errol Spence gave him the 50-50 split. Well, congratulations, Terrence Crawford. You now have a very pissed off Errol Spence, dead set on whooping your ass. Um, Another reason why I believe, just outside of the hunger and the drive, that I think that is greater in Errol Spence than it is in Terrence Crawford, is skill set. Um, I think the style that Errol Spence has is more deliberate than the style of Terrence Crawford. Um, we saw a fight that happened this week with Monster Inouye and Kuboy Fulton, where Monster Inouye is the was the puncher of this fight, and Coolboy Steph was the boxer. Now, I will say that I did have Coolboy Steph winning the fight, but Monster did. And the reason why I'm bringing up this fight is because, like Monster Inouye, Errol Spence is the puncher of this fight, and Terrence Crawford is the boxer, the mover. All right. As I was saying, in the Monster Inouye Stephen Kuboy fight, Naoya Inoue stopped Kuboy Steph in round 8. The puncher stopped the boxer in round 8. Um, I think the fight with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford will play out similarly. However, I got it going 6. I don't got it going 8 because um, uh, 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 I think Errol Spence is dead set on making a point of getting Terrence Crawford behind him once and for all after so many games outside of the ring. Um, I think Terrence Crawford has a losing philosophy. I mean, I'm now keep in mind we're talking about two great men, two great champions. So I mean, yes, I am splitting hairs, but that said, so I'm not taking anything away from Terrence Crawford, but compared to Errol Spence, he has a losing philosophy. Um, it appears that Terrence Crawford needs psychological advantages to his favor. He hasn't, you know, been B side like in quite a long time. He so going into this fight being B side, it appears that he's mentally not stable because of it. If any of you guys saw the weigh-in, they did some little goofy coin flip for what? What is this? What sport are we watching? Football? What is this? Errol Spence said that he had to give up so many concessions, and they had to even do a coin flip, and it's never been um, resolved. I mean, it was never truly resolved what that coin flip was for. But then they do the ceremonial coin flip. Terrence Crawford won it, and now he gets whatever. We don't know. We just know that he won the coin flip, and he gets his some more little games that he can play. That is, to me, in my opinion, doing only thing is doing is pissing Errol Spence off. I think Errol Spence is pissed off, not in an emotional way, but in a very cold and calculated way. What I think what Terrence Crawford is doing is bringing out the best Errol Spence we've ever seen. Not he was already an internally driven person, but making all these outlandish concessions is just making his drive worse. But yeah, so back to the skill sets. Um, Punch resistance. Let's get into punch resistance. We know we seen Terrence Crawford get buzzed by people like that Mean Machine guy. He got buzzed against I think what's his name, the Cuban fighter. Um, Damn, his name is slipping me. What's the Cuban? Damn, what's the Cuban fighter name? Anyway, he got buzzed multiple times. He gets hit in the dome and it rocks him. And I think Errol Spence sees that he's vulnerable to the dome piece. And he's gonna go not only to it. We know he's gonna pursue his body, pause, but he's gonna also see that he gets buzzed to the temple, and I think he's gonna aim for his temple, and he's in the middle of the center of the ring. And if he's able to get him on the ropes, he's gonna do his vintage Errol Spence and work his body viciously. But in this particular fight, it's going to be just a different gear because he really wants to put, in my opinion, he wants to put Terrence Crawford behind him, like he really does. Um, so I'm going to keep this as brief as I can. I already have two videos for the price of one, but Terrence Crawford, I'm sorry, Errol Spence has the power. He's the bigger man. He's, in my opinion, the more driven fighter between the two. Um, he's not a prize fighter. He's a champion fighter. Whereas Terrence Crawford is a prize fighter, and these are two. We got two different philosophies going into this fight. two different styles going into this fight. Yeah, sure. Terrence Crawford is a boxer. Yeah, he moves well on his feet. Um, he so called got great defense, even though he gets hit. I don't know why everybody is. I mean, he does have good defense, but on the championship level, I don't know why everybody's saying he got this good defense when he gets hit. I mean, he's got knocked. I mean, he could have got uh, um, knockdowns called against him, but they wasn't. Um, we all seen him hurt. No one can say that he haven't. Um, yeah, sure. You can. Some people try to say that Errol Spence was hurt by Ugas. No, come on. Let's face it. Ugas didn't hurt Errol Spence at all. Um, I believe Errol Spence when he says he thought that his tooth had came out, and he was overwhelmed with embarrassment to where he kind of lost track, lost focus. But not at one point was he hurt. Even when Ugas followed up with the punch, he you can tell Errol Spence was not hurt at all. He was just kind of laughing at his lapse in judgment. Um, um, in the same with I don't think Danny Garcia hurt um, uh, um, Errol Spence neither. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, why did we not see the Terrence Crawford Danny Garcia fight? Well, I don't know. Maybe we can see it after Errol Spence gets him out the way. You know, because I mean, it's a great prize fight for him. It makes a lot of sense for his career to fight Danny Garcia, but that'll be after. That's another matchup for another day. Um, and Errol Spence, I mean, he's lived up to his namesake. He's the truth. I mean, when he said when that bell rings, he's stepping, and he hasn't lied yet. I mean, PBC has tried to make Errol Spence into a liar. Um, so many people have tried to make Errol Spence to a liar, but he's fought like mad to make sure that his word was the gospel, and for that reason, Errol Spence is the truth. So, yeah, he didn't say when he would get or how he would defeat Terrence Crawford, but I know one thing. He said he's stepping. I believe him, and I don't think it's going to take too many rounds, too many bludgeons to get Terrence Crawford up out of there with his uh, 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 minimal, with his little bit of punch resistance that he can take. He hasn't met a puncher like Errol Spence to this point. Um, that mean machine, and none of them can punch like Errol Spence. Let's just get it. Let's just face the facts. You know. I mean, the reality of it all, I think Ugas beats uh, 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 um, Terrence Crawford for real, and that's a big reason why they never mentioned his name at the pro level, the Crawford camp. So as a fight fan, I'm looking forward to this. I could be wrong, and that's okay. I was wrong about Monster Nui and Cool Boy Steph, but you know what? I'm still going to stick to my guns and say that Errol Spence gets him out of there within 6 rounds. Um, I may not be right, but ain't no way Terrence Crawford winning this fight. Not a way. Um, so that was just a little fun video from Relevant Boxing Talk. Is just a little something that I hope gets views. I hope if you agree or disagree, comment below, and we can have a conversation in the comment section about it. But shout out to everybody who's watching this fight. It should be a great one for the ages. Relevant Boxing Talk.